Hi there! This is Jo Zuleika, founder of the Facebook group Women Who Lead with Heart, coming at you live from this beautiful place. I'm up in the northwest corner of the United States, of the northwest part of Washington State, right here in beautiful Anacortes, Washington. And you can see it's just lovely late afternoon out here in the sunshine. And I'm coming on live to talk to you today about this week's leadership training. It's about how do you develop courageous authenticity. And what I said in the teaser is so true, that the opposite of courageous authenticity isn't being fake or disingenuine. It's actually being afraid. Because it might not be that obvious, right? The word courageous is brave. So the opposite of really being courageously you is actually feeding into fear. And I want to talk a little bit about that today. What does it mean to be bravely you? It means actually first coming into clarity, what is a yes for you and what is a no for you? It's just starting with the simplest of self-awareness tactics to know, what do you want more of and what do you want less of? What feels right and what doesn't feel right? This is like just tuning your receiver into understanding what is really true for you. Now, it's all well and good when what you're choosing feels sort of like socially acceptable and something that other people would applaud. Like you want to drink more water or drink less wine or get to sleep earlier or give more to charity. Like these types of things might feel like you're more aligned with your values, and that's great. But it gets tricky when what is more aligned with your values is less aligned with the people in your life. So many of us fall into a deep sense of people pleasing and wanting to comply or fit in. And for sure, a very human need is to belong. So it can be really challenging when what you're choosing for yourself, what is really truly authentically you, might displease others, might challenge the status quo, might actually offend some people in your life, or might force you to feel alone or judged or exposed or just sort of like vulnerable. If what you really believe and what you really long for isn't aligned or isn't accepted by the people in your life, that's when the real brave part comes in of being courageously authentic. So I like to use like really simple examples. Let's say, your great Aunt Sue's stepdaughter is getting married this year and you're supposed to go to the wedding, and it's the last thing that you want to do. You don't really know anybody. You're not very interested in participating. It's going to cost a lot of money. You'd rather do something else with your time. But maybe you're so triggered or hooked by the sense that it's expected that you would go, that it was the right thing to do, that you should do it, that other people are expecting you to be there, that if you chose not to, it would cause the judgment or wrath or displeasure of your family, especially your mom. These are the times where you can just play with, what would it be to be courageously you in that moment? What would it mean for you to say, I actually am not going to go to this social engagement. It's not what I want to do. It's not how I'm going to choose to use my time. And I have the power to choose, and I'm choosing not to. Does that sort of set your heart aflutter with a sense of you're creating conflict, or you're displeasing people, or you might offend someone, or you can't take the heat? Like it's not worth it to actually make a stand for something that you really want, because you know the equation that's involved, that if you do this, the result is going to be that, is something that you don't want to suffer. I get it. I think a lot of us have been there. So what I want to encourage you to do is just to start getting into touch with what decisions you're making that are either aligned with your authentic you or misaligned, and at least know that you're making those decisions. Don't make them unconsciously. If you're going to do something that's not courageously aligned with your authentic self, know that. Be brave with yourself to know that. You can say to yourself, you know, I'm doing this thing. I don't really want to do it. I'm doing it because other people expect me to do it. I'm doing it to fit in. I'm doing it to be compliant. I'm doing it because I like people to like me. I'm doing it because I want to be popular. Just know that. That's a huge first step towards becoming so much more self-aware, is knowing the reasons why you are making decisions that might not be aligned with your true self. And maybe as you get braver, you'll become more courageous and slowly be able to make some decisions that are more aligned for you, that might challenge others or the status quo. I like to say it's easy to fit in, except when you realize that fitting in literally usually means making yourself something different so that you fit, right? It's like fitting into a tight pair of jeans. You got to suck it up to like zip your zipper. Or, you know, if you were to try to make something fit in like a square peg into a round hole, you have to whittle it. You have to chip away. You have to take some parts off. And that's what we're doing with ourselves when we're trying to fit in. When we think that belonging is more important than taking a courageous stand, we're actually taking a piece of ourselves away to become more socially acceptable, to be more fitting in with social conventions, with what other people think. So I once learned this saying from a really wise mom who raised her children with this very short phrase: truth before harmony. When I first heard that, I was like, what does that mean? Like, I want a harmonious home. I want to raise my children to have harmony in the house. But what she meant was this, that if you are making a stand for something that is true, don't sell it out to make things easier or to make things sweeter or to make things fit in. So you're not just pleasing your children or the people in your life with a harmonious way of being. You're not overly soothing and just wanting to make things easy. You're actually making them true. So that is sort of like saying no when it's a no. It might be easier to say yes. It might be easier to go along. It might be easier to agree. But if it's a no for you, you say no. And that's what truth before harmony means. Are you following? I think that when we talk about truth and harmony for ourselves, what we're saying is we want our outside behavior, our words, our actions to match our inside feelings and our convictions and our beliefs. That the inside truth needs to be what is manifested outside. That's truth before harmony, before fitting in with what social expectations would have of us. But as I was thinking about this, I thought this beautiful thing is also true. That when your inner truth becomes your outer way of being, when your beliefs and your convictions become your behavior and your actions and your words, you have both inner truth and harmony with the way that you're being. Your truth becomes your harmony. That's courageous. That is so beautifully, authentically aligned you with you. So my question to you today is, in what way could you say yes to something more in your life that is true, and say no to something in your life that is just for the purpose of making peace or having harmony with others? Is this selfish? Hell yeah. Yes, and it's okay for your truth to stand firmer, righter, firster than fitting in with everyone else's beliefs. This is something that might have to come with time because we're socialized to fit in and to please and to be popular and to win over with, honey attracts more ants than vinegar or whatever the sayings are. But there comes a time in your life where If it's fake, it's not true. And if you're doing it out of the fear of offending someone else, then who you're really offending is your inner self. So this is about knowing who you are, knowing why you're taking action in the way that you are, if it's aligned with really your truth or not, and slowly becoming more and more okay with your truth and your harmony being what you demonstrate in the world. So, if you'd like to play along with me, why don't you post in the comments below, what's one thing that you could do that would be more aligned for you to be more aligned with your truth? What's one thing that you could do more of or less of? I'd love to hear it. And that's what I've got for you tonight. Here's to your courageous authenticity.